Hi, everyone, and welcome to the In the Shoes of podcast, where I make it my goal to see life as much as possible from someone else's point of view. Just like we all have a unique heartbeat, every single one of us sees life only from our own perspectives. Think about it. Can you see and process life exactly as Elon Musk sees and processes life? The answer is you can't, and it applies to every living conscious being here on this pale blue dot. Hey, everybody. Just when you thought In the Shoes of may have skipped town and, got lost at sea with all of the ships filled with podcasts that started but just kind of drifted away into the Bermuda Triangle or wherever. Well, that is not the case with In the Shoes of. I am back. The podcast is back. I was in LA for a bit, then I came back. It's a long story that I'm not going to tell right here. But I'm going to publish an episode every Monday. That's right. I'm going to get some consistency going in here because it's been way too inconsistent. It's been an interesting ride, and I'm here to say that this thing is happening. And check it out. I've been traveling a bit with my new job, and which is really cool. I get to meet some pretty cool people just out there in the world. For instance, some people in Washington, D.C. And so I've just been recording kind of on the fly. It's a little bit rough, but I don't mind that. I have this condenser mic at home that I can use, but just out and about, sometimes I just break out the iPhone or one of my, portable recorders. So I hope you enjoy it. My first foray coming back into this scene is labeled DC Talks. It's in no relation to the band. Don't get me wrong there, and I hope that the band isn't offended, and I hope there's no legal implications. There is an S at the end of it, just letting you know. It's not DC Talk, it's DC Talks. So anyway, without further ado, let's start off with a 77-year-old taxi driver who was giving me a ride to a really cool cafe called Busboys and Poets, where I actually incidentally met someone else that was pretty freaking rad. Here you go. I hope you like what is coming along.
Are you a reporter? I'm working.
No, I'm not a reporter. I just have a podcast where what we do is...
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, it's just I like to get people's perspectives, especially like you are, it's awesome that you're a taxi driver in DC and you're how old again?
77.
77. That's awesome. And can you repeat what you said about, like, instead of staying inside and enjoying life, what were you saying there again?
What I was trying to say was the reason of staying home, feeling joint pain, arthritis, things that come with age.
Yeah.
And arguing with a long-time partner of life.
So I skipped ahead a little bit to some more meat of the conversation. So here you go. You're obviously doing really well. I mean, like I would have never guessed that you were 77, actually.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, that's cool.
I do exercise, I swim, I do a lot of things. And the problem with me, I have an appetite of 18 years old boys.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
That's great.
But I burned it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I want to do, too, when I'm at that age. I want to be...
Do exercise.
Yeah, exercise.
Walking, swimming, it's excellent.
Yeah, it's great. Where are you from originally?
I assume you are expecting me to be a foreigner, huh?
No, I mean, you could be Baltimore, Maryland.
New York.
New York? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, I no expectations. You never know.
No, well, I enjoy this, to be honest with you. It's a therapy session instead of staying home, feeling the joint pain.
Yep.
By talking to you, you are responding differently, and I'm learning I'm from East Africa originally.
Oh, cool. What part? What country?
The oldest Christian country.
Oldest?
That is the only country that was not colonized. Free history lesson too.
Oh, I feel like I should know this one, but I don't.
There was an attempt by Italians twice during Second World War.
By Italians?
First World War and during Second World War.
Okay, I'm gonna have to claim ignorance on
Free
here.
history lesson to you think.
I love it. All right.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's not. No, it's not.
There's only one country that was not colonized in Africa. That's it. But there was an attempt by Italians twice.
But it was invaded by the Italians?
Huh? I'm sorry?
What did the Italians do? They tried
Ethiopia.
Oh, Ethiopia. Really? Ethiopia. That's okay. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So the Italians tried to take over Ethiopia, but they failed.
No, they didn't take over. There was an
They
attempt
tried.
twice.
Okay.
But they could not succeed because the grandparents sacrificed their flesh and bone
Yep.
and delivered it to us.
That's awesome from them to defend the country. I love your food. It's outstanding. I just had Ethiopian food today.
But
I had an Ethiopian dish today, a lamb stew.
Oh, yeah.
So good. I love it. But
Spicy, right?
yeah, it was the perfect spice though. So what would you say makes Ethiopia even a much more a special country among all countries of the world?
Special country. If you asked me this 30 years ago or 15 years ago, I would have answered it. Now it's completely different. The younger generation, it's completely they don't even seem to have a drop of the old Ethiopian behavior, character, understanding things of that nature.
Sure.
Concern, love, affiliation. It's missing. I don't know if it is due to economic scarcity or due to the lecture that is given by dictators who are in power now.
Yeah. Do you think it has something to do with the kids maybe not taking, like understanding
Ethiopians,
what...
I don't mean to exaggerate it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Very lovely and very polite. Those days there was no car. People walk from state to state.
Yeah.
If there was no electric lights, the way it used
yeah. Oh, right. No electric light even.
Oh, yeah.
Like when you were growing up, there were no electricity?
There was no electric. Well, when I was growing up, it's different.
Yeah.
Before, where I was born, yes, there was no electricity.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
So they use certain lights and like candle.
Yeah.
But people are if they see people walking, traveling for a long way, they stop by and say, "Why don't you stay overnight and leave tomorrow?"
That's so cool.
Oh yes, this is the type of behavior that was there.
I love that. But you say it's going away now?
Now you don't even trust your own flesh and bone, brother or sister. It's unfortunate.
That's terrible. Would you say that's like in Ethiopia or like just all over the world? Where
which one?
The you don't trust your own flesh and bone.
Well, that's very hard to generalize. I'm just
of course. Yeah, of course.
Let me tell you one thing. Those days, people go to business. Market.
Yeah.
They leave their dollar. It's not change, a dollar, paper dollar. It is in silver. They tie it on a bag and give it to X or Y.
Yeah.
Who will go and deliver it. He will not touch a penny out of it.
That's awesome.
I swear I'm telling you the truth. That's what I've seen by my own self. I've noticed that. Yeah. You don't see that. Now, even if you put somebody cheap to give it to X, certain amount, he will not deliver.
Right. So you're saying there's lack of trust.
Oh, yeah. It's a global thing, but this one arrived here recently.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
That is unfortunate. What do you think we could do to get that back? To make it happen again?
Which
more
society? Here, there, or
both? Either in Ethiopia or the States. Oh wow, what are they doing?
Ethiopia or the States?
Sure. Yeah. Or let's just say in Ethiopia, what do you think needs to happen to make that happen again?
Leaders should show good pattern. Good pattern.
Gotcha.
Yeah. If you spray or drop a drop, wrong one, wrong place.
Okay, so listening to this now, I honestly don't know what he was saying there. So if anybody can decipher that, please let me know. What is your name, sir?
I will let you, but don't mention it on the.
Oh, okay. I won't. I won't even. I don't even need it. Then it's fine.
Thank you. I really
Yep.
appreciate it.
No problem.
It's right on this phone.
Thank you.
Right there.
Okay.
If you want it.
No, this is fine. No problem.
Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. No, thank you. That's been a pleasure talking with you, and thank you for letting me record that. I won't mention your name. I don't know your name, so here's a credit card. Yeah. Add on a $5 tip.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no problem. Perfect.
Thank you.
All right.
very much.
Hey, no, thank you. You have. That would be great. Yeah, if I could get one. You can just send it. Yeah, to email. That's fine. Perfect. All right. Thank you
Have a
so
nice
much.
evening.
Hey, you have an excellent one. Nice meeting you.
Thank sir.
All right.
I appreciate it. It's
Keep
more
the-
than what I got now.
Yeah.
It gave me really it boosts my whole system.
Good. Me too.
Oh yeah.
Let's keep our 18-year-old hunger. Yeah.
And don't let anything inside.
Nothing. Yeah. And not anybody else stop us too.
Absolutely.
Okay. Cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll see you.
All right, so that was the nameless taxi driver, which cool conversation, right? And I was going to include the conversation I had next up with a guy at the cafe where I was dropped off at, but it turns out he's related to a historical figure who was associated with even a pretty major historical figure. So I'm going to get in touch with his family, with his aunt, and make sure that the things that I say in it's going to be a different episode are in alignment with, just to show respect to the family, make sure that I'm saying everything accurately and everything. So that said, I'm going to go straight to a conversation I had with some people who are running the longest standing peace protest in DC. Without further ado, here we go.
He's 100 hours a week, man. So.
Nice. Okay, so we'll start with
no. The supervisor, the boss, the manager is the nuclear non-proliferation. True. There's no. I'm the volunteer coordinator.
He's the vessel
Yeah.
through which human rights and anti-war
I-
stuff goes.
Okay. Yeah, so can you tell me, so you kind of started this right here,
No.
or no?
No, William Thomas
Let me
started.
take you over to William Thomas over here.
Yeah, William
Okay,
Thomas
cool.
started.
In June of 1981, he
Okay.
started it right there.
Okay.
He died in 2009, and then Concepcion
So you can't see that right here, but it's a picture of him.
Concepcion Pichotto from Spain. She joined him in '83,
Okay.
and she died in December or January of 2016. So she was here 33 years.
Okay. Oh wow! And so it's just in this specific location, right in front
Exact
of the White House.
location.
Just keep it right here going.
287 on the White House side of the street there.
Okay.
And then, but still, when we say single location, Lafayette Square.
Lafayette Square.
Lafayette Park.
Lafayette Square.
And
Okay,
literally, where you're
gotcha.
standing, millions of people from around the world and around the country have stood right here.
Yeah, right. To protest or
Just come over and ask
Yeah.
questions.
oh yeah, and
Ask
just
questions and greet us. You know. What I mean?
yeah, for sure.
Until '95, before the mural building in Oklahoma City was bombed, the street was able to open
regular
traffic.
street.
The night
Yeah.
on 9 days after they had foiled an attempt on Bill Clinton's life,
Yeah.
and then they closed it because two major things: an attempt on Bill Clinton's life and the bombing of the mural building in Oklahoma. Yeah, they had to close it down. Things were
Gotcha.
getting suspiciously too close to
Right.
yeah, to the shit hitting the fan.
Yeah, as it does, especially in these days, right? When you have some people in office, right?
The good die out. Bobby Kennedy died young.
Yeah.
John F. Kennedy died young. Martin Luther King died young.
Yeah.
Yeah. The good die out. So to keep. I mean, Bill Clinton at the time. We're talking 20 years ago. He wasn't very old. He was still like 53 years old.
Right. So if you could encapsulate kind of what your, I guess, modus operandi, your mantra or mission is here.
There's three on the mission
things?
statement.
Okay.
World peace,
Yep.
nuclear non-proliferations, that's nuclear weapons and the nuclear industry,
Yep.
and against human rights violations.
And what now?
Human rights violations.
I dig it, man. So how do we do it? How do we stop? I mean, world peace, human rights violations. How do we achieve all of this?
We take it away from the politicians.
Yeah.
You know, the politicians, they're the ones that want to divide and conquer.
Yeah.
They're the ones that want to say, hey, you want the pigmentation of that guy makes him different than you. No, we're from the human race. There's only
Right.
one race. Stop with that question race.
Right.
Stop with the question sex on the job application. I want to know how good somebody can do the job. I don't care what's between her or his legs. You know? Yeah. All right, brother.
Hey, thanks for the
Yeah,
help.
nice talking to you.
What's love?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So what do we need to replace then the politicians with anybody or a group of people that can actually run things better?
Well, one could argue that this vigil is a permanent grassroots institution,
Yeah.
and all we can do is pass messages and hope that the grassroots, it gets energized. I think this year they really are. So I think it's a very positive time this particular year.
Sure. Well, it comes down to like ideology, right? Anyway, if you can
Absolutely,
change
yeah.
yeah,
very foundations of how people
even
think.
like people like there's some groups of people that think that they're superior to others. We know the names that they
Right.
go by are endless: KKK, Nazi, neo-Nazi, white nationalist,
Right.
Zionist. Now you notice I didn't say Hebrew or Israeli. I said Zionist, and there's a big difference. Yesterday, two guys that came up, they came down here because they were going to speak out against the people that were against the reversal of the Iran agreement, but they came out to like 400 people. They tried to channel. They tried,
with the Iran,
these two
right?
tried to.
backing out of the Iran deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these two tried to chant down 400 people, but they weren't having it. You know, they kept on hearing, they kept on listening to the Trump speech, the 7 minutes of it, and they started thinking, wait, this guy's off on a few things. They come over here, and DC Media Group, John Zangas, he talked to them for a little while, and he's a veteran, and he talked to them, and then they came over and he goes, hey, that guy out there was telling us, you know, you go, who? And he goes, military veteran. And I go, which one? And he described what they was wearing, and I go, oh, that's John Zangas. Yeah, he was veteran. He's, you know, so, and then you go, hey man, you and him and a lot of people out here, you guys, there's a lot of you. And I go, look, go to your favorite search engine. So they went on to a far right wing search engine, and I said, okay, USS Liberty, 1967. Put it in there and I go, attacked and sunk the USS Liberty by the Israeli Defense Force. And they said, do you know what the USS Liberty was doing in the waters? About 250 miles away. They're investigating things that were going on in Egypt. They weren't even that close to Israel, and they still bombed them out of the water. And then we went through a few other things, and they said, so you're not against us, like you're talking to us like you're okay with us. I go, I mean, you guys look like civilian Israelis. And he goes, yeah. And he goes, you're not part of the Zionist system that has control of their government. So how can I be against you? You're the civilians that I want to be released from that, even whether you're Hebrew, Israeli, Palestinian, Christian, practitioner of Judaism, Muslim, or atheist. I don't care. I just want you guys to live freely there, and I do want some accord toward a minimum of some area being returned to being called Palestine. I do want that part. And then they looked amongst themselves and they said, you know, because you actually stand up for Israelis and Hebrews, and between them they pulled out $12 and they said, you know what? It's $1 each for each of the 12 tribes of Israel.
12 tribes, yeah.
So you know what? They understood my message. My message is not hatred for Hebrews or Israelis.
No, of course not.
Right.
That'd be
What did I already
ridiculous.
mention to you?
Just like
I
with
said the
Buddhists, too.
politician
I mean,
part.
Not Buddhists, but with Muslims. You know,
Yep.
you can, the Nation of Islam, you know, a lot of people like there's some people see it as a stigma almost, where really there's over 1 billion Muslims in the world, and for you to hate every single person just because of a few radical person, that's ridiculous.
Right.
You know, I know so many beautiful Muslims in the
Of
world.
course we do.
It's for killing all Christians because of Timothy McVeigh, right?
Right.
Precisely,
Right.
precisely. That
Or
vein of thought. It's just-
Dylan Roof.
Actually,
it's
the
crazy.
name Jesus Christ came out of the mouth of Charlie Manson quite a few times.
Yeah. So I'm I mean, I'm sure we'll get the Crusades too. Right? I mean, yeah, we can we can go
We
down
have
the line.
so many things that we can do.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, I'm sorry. I think I interrupted you. What were you going to say earlier?
I'm just gonna say my message is consistent. It's not against the civilians of the planet.
Yeah.
It's against the political institutions, the politicians. But there isn't a civilian that's powerful enough to launch their nation's military into war against any nation that I'm living in or vacationing in.
Yeah.
It's firmly in the hands of the politicians. And what does the lead politician do? They go to Congress, or they go to Parliament, or they go to the ministers, or they go to their committees. And all of them that are on their committees, their ministers, their Parliament, or their Congress are also politicians. So it's never in our hands as civilians to say, but then later on, people say, oh, look, the Yugoslavs went into war against us. No, Yugoslavs didn't go into war against anybody. They had to, by threat of being killed and their families being eliminated off the face of the earth, had to go to war because of politics the countries make up. I mean, here we have a volunteer army after a certain point, but before a certain point, of course, we had to draft.
Yeah.
You know? So here it's a little different, but in a lot of other countries, we know they're forcefully returning to the one country, Israel. And it's not the only country, definitely. But when you hit 18, if you're a high school graduate, you have to.
You have to
join the IDF.
I've met plenty of Israelis out there where, you have to after.
Yeah.
You know, one thing about this space, though, is very special. You figure every foreigner comes to the U.S., they come to D.C., they come to this space to see the White House.
Of course.
Every American, the first time they visit D.C., they come to this space to see the White House. This is like a crossroads of the world. And you figure many people, say from China and Russia, maybe they've never seen a protester in their lives.
Right.
And you figure many people from small towns in the U.S., they have never seen a protester. So I feel that we're doing a constitutional service by being here, by whatever the cause is, whether it's left or right, liberal, conservative, whatever.
Yep.
But the fact that the permanent vigil is one for human rights and anti-war, rather than pro-war and anti-human rights, says a lot.
Right? And it seems obvious, right?
There's an Aryan edifice in the neighborhood, and it's right across the street from me. That's pro-war.
Yeah, right.
And believe me, anti-human rights, no matter the president. Did Leonard Peltier get human rights under Democrat presidents? No. He's been in there since Ford. Carter's a Democrat. Okay. Reagan, George Herbert Walker Bush, Clinton's a Democrat. George W. Bush, Barack Obama's a Democrat. How about Leonard Peltier? So we're not ever going to say Democrats flawless in their running of the government. No.
Oh, no.
We're not going to say that. We were diligently out here. October 3rd, 2015, we raised huge stink about Doctors Without Borders getting attacked in Afghanistan, and 28 U.S. and 4 Canadian civilian doctors losing their life because our military intelligence told the commander-in-chief that was an Al-Qaeda, an Al-Qaeda training ground, and it wasn't. It was Doctors Without Borders Hospital, where civilian Afghanis had been injured by the forces that were not only U.S., but they were U.S., British, and French forces, and they were just taking care of civilians that had been injured.
Yeah, and that's not good at all.
So you figure whatever restricted freedoms that we have here at this space was gotten by the grassroots. It's like Helen Keller once said, there are no inalienable rights, like Thomas Jefferson said in the Declaration of Independence. She said, whatever rights we have, they're ones we fought for.
You have to fight for it. Yeah. And that's something that we have to remember, too, how many people have actually lost their lives to get to,
Now, William Thomas, Concepcion, Ellen Thomas, and I have all gone to court to keep this here. So, but we don't do it for ourselves. We do it because we want the end of the nuclear era. We want all human rights violations to end throughout the planet. Now, will we ever get world peace? We can make the world a more peaceful planet without human rights violations, without nuclear weapons.
Without a doubt. And it probably is going to take that next step in the evolution of our consciousness, really. Just get past a lot of our petty. Yeah. Well, anyway, before I go on my own tirade.
Right. I mean, Gandhi was a step, and people didn't listen, but a lot of people remember Gandhi.
Yeah.
Marcus Garvey was a step, and people didn't listen, but a lot of people remember Garvey. Martin Luther King was a step, and people didn't listen, but a lot of people remember him.
When you say step, what?
They were a step in the consciousness.
Oh, getting
that
to that next level.
Well,
Got
that
you.
Guy did great things,
Yep.
instead of what those people that have been before them and in between them that were great too, but they didn't reach enough people, unfortunately. With the Kennedys, well, Bobby was going to be an amazing president, but he had to be taken out because, he talked to that.
And yet Bobby grew. I mean, when he was Attorney General, he was promoting and building the war in Vietnam. And it was just in 5 years, he shifted. And I don't think it was a fake shift. I think he really did totally shift on the war.
Right.
Yeah. Gotcha. Wait, well, I appreciate your time, guys. Seriously, I have a podcast. I'll put some of this footage on there, and there. So I appreciate the perspective.
You were asking earlier about sort of what do we do? Well, just look at what happened in West Virginia. In West Virginia, the law in West Virginia is it is illegal for teachers to strike. And what are they going to do? Put all 54,000 teachers in jail?
Right.
It can't happen. In other words, if you get enough people and organize, in a sense, we can do anything. And it doesn't matter what the laws are, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, Martin Luther King Jr., he was breaking the law every day with his civil rights movement.
The laws are not always right.
So it shows that
we know that.
And Sojourner Truth.
Oh, yeah.
Before Martin. And, it goes... Frederick Douglass.
Oh,
Dare him learn how to read. Yeah. He was not supposed to learn how to read because at that time he wasn't allowed to be taught.
It's amazing how we don't think about that. Just follow the rules. And no, actually, sometimes those rules implemented by other people who have their own biases and agendas need to be broken, obviously.
Right.
Yeah. So, no, that's cool.
Yeah, people say law and order, and I'm thinking, well, does that mean that we should have followed the law in pre-Civil War days and turn in slaves? And
so
exactly.
W.E.B. Du Bois, he should have never, ever been part of any organization that did amazing work that still to this day goes on.
Yep.
So, I mean, so we could go back. Doesn't have to be after Cesar Chavez.
Yeah, Cesar Chavez.
Yeah,
totally, man. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's keep on making those people that are steps. I'm going to borrow that from you. He was a step. I'm going to make him like, and steps.
And I can see making like a video, like a Stairway to Heaven, the song that was actually plagiarized by, it was Robert Johnson's song that they turned
That's
into
right.
a song.
Oh, my friend's going to be so grateful to hear that because he gets so pissed off when about anyway, go ahead.
But that song Stairway to Heaven, and it could just be the steps. And you want to know, Buddha could be in that one of those steps, and so could Rajneesh, and so could Jesus Christ, and so could you have a lot of steps that eventually get you to that step that we finally get it all.
And maybe
it's not here today, but it might be here in 15 years.
Maybe the staircase widens too. And like all of a sudden, all these people are on these steps,
Yeah. And you have everything represented, like Hindu, Buddha, you have a CD,
everything.
You have, Bob Marley could be a step because his lyrics definitely talked about amazing
I'd say
things.
Bob Marley's a step there.
It's the greatest political music in the history of the planet.
Yeah. I mean,
not just him, but the whole body out of Jamaica.
Yep.
But, speaking of steps, not only should we be activists, we personally, but we got to pass it on to the younger. I mean, I have a granddaughter who's 25. Every Christmas and every birthday, I pass on to her books and DVDs about radicalism in the past and activism in the past and our heroes and heroines, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because I want her to know the past and to be proud of it and to build on that.
Yep.
Some of the kids from Stoneman Douglas came through here the day after the march, the March for Life. And they're talking to me, and they said one of their, 3 teachers died.
One of their what now?
3 teachers died in that attack. Of the 17 people, 3 of them were faculty. Said that one of them was teaching them some things on civics and spoke on the vigil in the longest lasting protest in the United States. Actually, the longest lasting protest in the history of the American continental shelf, North, South, Central America, and the Caribbean combined. But they had a good teacher that they lost. And, they lost friends that were their age, but they also lost educators that they loved.
Yep.
It wasn't only a youth movement, but the youth are now grabbing it and they want to have control of it. And I have no problem with that. They know how to use things that weren't available in the 70s when I organized protests against Vietnam War.
Yep.
Right? Or when he was going to protest rallies in the 60s, or Joe Brown that just left here was in the early 70s as well. But I love that they have the tools now to do a podcast, to do a live stream, to do what's. I want people to show me how to do it, because maybe
Totally.
some of us that are in their 50s, I'm 56, and older don't know how to do it that well.
You can do it though. You can do it. You can do it from right here.
Remember,
Not a problem. So.
Trump's initial ban on Muslims? Within 24 hours, every airport in America was flooded with people. I mean, that's the power of the podcast.
And watch it. And then by 11:30, because the first one DC time was at 8:15 a.m. and by 11:30, 3 hours and 15 minutes later, without any group organizing, over 6,000 people were in the park.
Wow. Yeah.
It's because it's in front of the White House.
Yep.
So that's why this area is very, very. The science march, the climate march, the women's march, and they all come by even when everyone was pushed out of the park on it, because the day of the inauguration and the second day they still had to take down fences, and they were coming by and they were leaving their picket signs along the fence and bringing wiring to make sure that they secured it as much as they could. Believe me, I was gifted some of them, and we were encouraging the women. We had a deal with Dunkin' Donuts. They were sending over the coffee crafts and cups and creamers and different sweeteners, and then the donuts were cut in quarters.
Yep.
So and you just keep on giving them out, and then we didn't know, but at the end, what happened is they came by with $100 gift card for my 3 helpers and a $200 gift card for me. We weren't doing it for that, but
I figure since he's testifying before Congress, it's important to have.
So
I
mean,
so that's cool. I mean, once you're
Since
doing
he's
things like that,
testifying
if
before
people are of the
Congress
same
today, I
mindset,
figured
they'll want to
there's
help.
even if it was only that manager who is Iraqi managed Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
He's
awesome.
here
Man.
100
Yeah.
hours
Do
a
you guys have any
Somebody is here.
a website or anything? Anything that I can
the
refer
best-
the listeners to?
They could go. DC Media Group.
DC Media Group.
And I mentioned that in there. So when you listen to it, DC Media Group, John Zangus has a lot of things on this protest, a lot of posts and videos, and then also that a few of those will link you to the YouTube programs are in Spanish, Arabic, the Canadian, all over the world that have done interviews with us. So.
Okay, cool. And what's your name again?
Yeah. My religion's love. Love is a
When I was
religion.
in high school, I thought seriously.
Love is a religion. If you say thou shalt not kill, that's love.
All right, so I'm going to stop the tape there. He obviously got into a conversation with someone else who was asking some questions, so I just let him roll on without even getting his name, and that's totally all right. But it was really interesting. It's right in front of the White House, and if you go to DC, you'll know those guys will be right there. It looks like they have a tent structure going on and some signs. Although it almost feels like you're watching a Vietnam era protest movie or something like that. It's just interesting. So, and when I mentioned it to one of my friends, Greg, he was like, "Oh yeah, it's the longest standing protest in whatever." I was like, "All right, well, I did not know that, but now I do." And knowing is good, knowing things. Anyway, the next and last portion of this episode, I went to the Museum of African American History and Culture. This place is absolutely fantastic, and I totally recommend going to it if you are ever in DC. And if you've already gone, go again. It's a good reminder of everything that took place, not only the gruesome details associated with slavery and segregation, bigotry, all of that, but also pinpointing all of the really amazing aspects of African American culture and history. So totally worth it. Definitely recommend going. Now, each one of us, we're going to have different reactions depending on how we were raised, of course. So me being a white dude growing up in the middle of Nebraska, I realized I was going to have a different reaction, which is always very visceral for me. Because I'm like, oh, it's just so heartbreaking, especially when I'm seeing, how slaves were transported across the Atlantic and all that. It's brutal. It's gruesome. It's hard to watch. It's hard, it's just, wow, it gets crazy. And then I was like, well, how does a person of color see that? How does someone who has African roots, what do they feel when they see that? And so I asked someone right after I got out of the museum. I was in kind of a daze because there was this juxtaposition of, wow, this visceral experience in the museum, but then coming outside and it was just a beautiful, gorgeous day. So it's just this, it's like your senses are a little bit, I don't know, battered in an interesting way. But anyway, the answers I got were great. And I am really thankful for Tiffany and her mother for taking the time to answer a few questions that I had. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed and appreciated their time and their answers. Oh, and the mother's name is Carla.
All right, cool. Let's go on. So what's your name?
My name's Tiffany.
Tiffany. Cool. Nice to meet you,
Nice
Tiffany.
to meet you.
So going into the African American History Museum here in the States, right?
All right, that was a bit of a rocky start. Anyway, bear with me. It'll hopefully get better. It will get better.
How did you feel? What was your reaction there?
Kind of like I told my mom, it's nice to kind of go into a museum and learn about your history and not be reduced to a section.
Yeah.
So to have the entire museum about you, it's, and go in and relate to everything and every picture and every story. It's kind of just, it's nice. It's a nice feeling.
Yeah. No, that's good. Obviously, I'm going to have a different experience, going in there. It's like brutal for anybody, I think, going out, especially at the lower level, to see all the crazy stuff. What's kind of your like reaction to that? Because I imagine
it's not brutal for me because it's
Okay.
my history. So
Yeah.
even though it may not be taught in its full in schools or taught, or spoken about on the History Channel as much,
yeah.
my mom told me, my grandmother
So
told me.
you're
I know
good.
of my history. So,
Good.
seeing it in a museum is just more information for me.
Yeah, gotcha. It just like solidified
Yeah.
everything that your mom had taught you. That's cool. And so what are your thoughts about right now, present day? What do we need to work on? And that's like a loaded question because look who we have in the White House for one thing. And then
Do we want to go there?
everybody's laughing, folks. Yeah, let's go there because I think it's on everybody's mind, so I think we need to still engage. Someone like lady I was talking to yesterday, you were like, the battle's not done yet.
No.
Obviously,
if you look at history, it's repeated itself from C3, which was 1400s through 1860 something,
Yeah.
and then it repeated itself again
Yeah.
with the civil rights movement, and it's repeating itself now.
Right,
So
yeah.
it's nothing. We get a little bit closer, and then we fight again, and we get a little bit closer, and now we're fighting again, so that we
Yeah.
can get even further and even closer to being equal, to being truly free in this country, to be who we are.
Yeah. What do you think needs to happen?
For them to concentrate on business.
This is Tiffany's mom jumping in.
Everybody think we
Okay.
hate Donald Trump. We don't hate Donald Trump.
Right.
We just hate what he stood for. He stood for a lot of meanness and pettiness. Right. He was voted to be about business, and
Right.
he hadn't been doing business. He's worked on segregating, discriminating, and eliminating.
This is an intentional pause because I felt like that was very well stated.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if he focused more on, like my mom said, business and running this country like a business and not worrying about what color someone is or what religion they practice or where they came from,
Yeah.
we would be so much farther.
How much do you think of an influence the political leaders have, and do we need to change that whole system up from the ground up?
Questions I wrote on one room, and they asked you, what was your position? What needs to happen?
Yep.
They need to have term limits. Congressmen
Yep.
should not be in there for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
If we can eliminate
have term limits on the president, we shouldn't have term limits on the congressmen. But no more than 6 to 8 years. We don't have a pension for serving 6 to 8 years. Why should they have one? Cut that out. That's where you're going to save the billions of dollars that we need to get ahead in this country.
Because as this country continues to change, as people have more technology, learn more, understand more, you're having people that have been in Congress who were there in the 60s. They don't understand the kids of today, you know, the climate of today. They don't understand what we want. And so, you know, that's just something that just needs to happen. Turnover, new blood, new thinking, new ideas, new understanding of, because you're going to have kids that are in school right now that truly don't see color and truly don't see, you know, sexual orientation. And they don't see any of that. And they do think everybody is equal. And we still have congressmen that are in there that don't understand that and want to, you know, say, you know, gays don't have rights or women should not have abortions. It doesn't make any sense.
We all need to be like more educated about the whole thing, right?
Education.
Maybe that's what it comes down to, right?
And that's why this is important, because, you know, just, you know, watching when we were in the music area, what was that, on the 3rd floor upstairs? And we were just reminiscing about music and her music and my music. I know all of her music because that's what she listened to. And my children will know all of my music and all of her music, and they will know all of my grandmother's music because I listened to all of it. And it's just, this museum is awesome because we can just sit in there and reminisce, and I can listen to her. I went to that concert and it was great. And then how it felt when I got to my section.
Totally.
So,
And that's probably where, you know, for me, it's all about trying to find that where it hits people right in the heart, you know, to actually try to have some empathy and understand what's going on with another person or group of people or whatever, you know.
One of the most recent things is the Emmett Till.
What now?
Emmett Till, the Emmett Till room.
Yep.
You know, he was killed because a woman lied on him. And just finding out now, she admitted to lying on him. And what's being done to her today? Absolutely nothing. That child got killed for no reason. No reason at all, because she lied. And today,
how many years?
Last year, she admitted to it, or 2 years she admitted to it. And nothing's being done to her.
That's right.
And that's the most hurtful. That's where I felt the most. Because I could feel that pain of their mother, knowing her child did absolutely nothing. And today, this woman is walking free, living her life. And her son was just cut down. At a teenage. He hadn't even been gone. Nothing's happened to her, you know? Absolutely nothing.
That's, I think Dave Chappelle did a little skit on that, didn't he?
He
saw
did.
that? Yeah, definitely.
But it's something we talk about. It's something Black families talk about in the TL. And it doesn't matter, because in the climate, it still happens. It doesn't matter what a white person says. They're going to be believed over a Black person. So we have to be on our P's and Q's and watch out for ourselves, because they can be reckless.
So you think, so even today, and I think I'm asking this because
even if she was convicted, that would be something, you know?
Something, right?
Yeah, and she didn't have served time, but at least they brought her up to own what she did.
Exactly. Put her on trial, some sort of public communication.
But nothing's going to be done to me.
She basically was a murderer.
Right. So even today, and I'm asking this question because I think a lot of people still don't get it. Do you think that today even you still have to mind your P's and Q's a little bit more, and that you feel that, you know,
it's worse?
It's worse now.
Yeah, it's worse.
How so? Can you elaborate on that? Because
people have own houses in white neighborhoods, and they're being called on saying they're breaking into their own house.
Wait, say that again?
They had a story on this man was moving into his house. They called the police on him saying he was robbing his house.
And he's moving in. And again, someone being reckless. You know, and then I remember reading that and then looking at the comments, and people say, oh, the police this, oh, the police that. No, the police came to do their job. It was whatever white person was in that building who was being reckless.
Right. Yeah, I think I even saw something about like a pizza delivery guy or something, you know, just or whatever.
And then they had another one. There was 3 filmmakers renting a home. And then they didn't wave at the neighbor across the street, so she called the police and said they were robbing the house. But they had rented a home. They were leaving. Their time was up. I mean, that's the kind of crap we now have to deal with.
Right.
And then what if the policemen that came to that, she said it was 7 cops that were surrounding them.
Yeah.
What if they came with guns blazing?
Oh, exactly.
For
Exactly.
no reason. And why? Because this woman didn't know what the person who owned the house rented the people to.
Yeah, because
He
they.
didn't ask for color.
Yeah.
It was a business transaction.
Yeah.
And this woman was just all on color. Black people coming out with suitcases.
So yeah, and it's just like, oh, too many movies or
Yeah.
whatever scene and all
Right.
that. I'm like, oh, obviously it's a
Must
person
be
of
Robin.
color, must be
Right.
Robin, and you know, it can't actually. Yeah.
The only
man.
thing now is that it's being filmed. You know, like
Yeah.
everybody got their
Yes.
cell phone and everybody's being filmed doing these crazy things. And, you know, people of color, you know, we can't react to it because it's going to be, when the police come, we're going to get shot. They're not going to shoot the white person.
Yeah.
They're going to shoot us because they're going to assume that we are the aggressor.
Which is just crazy to me, but I know it's true. I mean,
Yeah.
even with right now, it's still happening out there. You know, a person of color driving their car gets pulled over,
Oh, yeah.
you know, or they have a kid with them. You know, they have to actually be concerned about how they're,
Yeah.
you know,
But
the
see,
welfare of their kids and all that.
And even before I was born, it's always been that way. But
Yeah.
now people can see it. So
Yeah.
black people always
Yeah.
knew that happened.
It's so funny because you know, you get the reactions of my white friends, and they're just like, "I can't believe this happened." It's always been happening.
Yeah, and
It's
you
not.
just
This
didn't
is
know.
absolutely nothing new. Well,
Nothing
how do you
new.
feel about it? I can't feel anything about it because it happens all the time.
Yeah.
I mean,
Gotcha.
you know, when we say it, you're like, "Oh, that's 1 in 2 cases or whatever." No, it's pretty much 10 out of 10.
It's been years and years of it. It's just not
It's something
today.
you learn.
So
it's not
it's just,
something that just
yeah.
happened because everybody got cell phones. It's always been happening, but who you gonna report it to? Report
Yep.
it to the people that just beat you
Right.
or
Oh.
shot you or shot your family member? Who you gonna report it to?
Yeah,
So-
that's true. And you know, there people are talking about that too, with like, oh, the alt right and the neo-Nazi movement and all that stuff is going on.
Normal.
And that's like also
Oh my
no,
God.
we've had those,
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
crazy
I
people
mean,
around anyway all
We
the
knew
time.
them. We always knew them. They
What,
just call
the whole-
themselves a new name, but they're still the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah,
They
right.
just changed their name. That's it.
KKK.
Yeah. Ah man, but it was seriously. Thank you so much for you know, giving me the time to
No
you know.
problem.
I'm gonna put this on my podcast. It's called In the Shoes of. If you want to check it out, I'll probably
Okay.
put this out in a couple of weeks. But you're Tiffany. What's your name?
Carla.
Carla. So nice to meet you. I'm Jeremy. Tiffany.
You
Carla.
did- you say
Thank
the
you
name
so
of your
much.
podcast was?
It's In the Shoes of.
In the shoes.
It's
of.
all about getting into the shoes
Are
of
you on
somebody
Apple
else.
Podcasts?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
I'll
I'm
look
there.
you up.
So,
I'm,
all right,
I am
cool.
a podcast junkie.
Oh, there we
so-
go. That's perfect. Good to hear. Thank you so much again. I
You're
really do
welcome. Have a
appreciate
good day.
that. You too.
All right, so I'm just getting started with this different format. Obviously, I'm going to have some interviews like before too, where you know I'll be doing some remote interviews. I wanted to do it like just purely live, get it more rough, but it's just hard to get to all the people that I want to get to and have on the show like that. So it's going to be a little bit of hybrid. Sometimes it's going to be just right there off the cuff, right in the streets of wherever, like DC. Or recently in Montreal, too, I met a really interesting guy, which will be coming up. I'll also have another guy, like I was alluding to earlier, and possibly some additional conversations because of just his family history. But I'll get to that in a bit. And at the end of this, I'm going to have my normal outro music and outro message and all that. But after that, I have some sound bites just from inside the museum itself. I hope that that's okay with the museum. If it's not, please let me know and I'll take it down. But I just want to include that just so that you could kind of vicariously experience it just with the sounds that were inside of the museum, some that I experienced. And, you know, maybe it'll just get you into a contemplative state or maybe not. Maybe you don't need to hear it. It's fine either way, but it's going to be there. So that's why this episode is probably going to look a little bit long, as they can be a little bit. Let me know if you guys think that the episodes are too long. Who knows if I'll actually change it up? I don't know. But anyway, thank you so much for listening. Once again, I'm back. The podcast is back and consistently back every Monday. Release, rain or shine, or internet connection or not. I don't know how that would work, but I got to figure out a way, right? There are coffee shops and stuff, right? Starbucks around every corner, even in my closet, as my friend Annie's dad would put it once, I believe. Isn't that right, Annie? Anyway, I will talk to all of you at some point in time in the future. And thanks for listening. Cheers. Bye-bye. Hey, thank you so much for checking out this episode of In the Shoes Of. If you like or don't like the podcast, feel free to leave a review or reach out to me. My email is jnickel42@gmail.com. Can't promise you I'll get back to you right away, but I'll definitely try and get to it. Anyway, thank you so much for checking it out. Until the next time, see you later.
Because the restrooms are only available at the beginning and at the end of the lower levels. You can take photos anywhere in the museum except Emmett Till Memorial. And that's because the casket is original. It's a fabulous request of no photos. Once you reach back up to the concourse level, visit the waterfall. It's called the Contemplative Court. It will put peace back in your spirit after being down here on the lower levels. You all will be exiting out this door. To your right is the restrooms. To your left is where you're restarting. You're now entering back into the 1400s. Amen. You're welcome. I did.
No, it's kind of like a break that goes, but it's not like it's not a shocking. So you be able to what you got to walk behind the two. So you basically don't have to walk.
As one of the wealthiest colonists, and later became a prominent member of the Continental Congress. The wealth generated by slavery was enormous for nations as well. By 1833, when Great Britain abolished slavery, the country paid out roughly $2.4 billion in today's currency to compensate British slaveholders. Enslaved, forcibly dispersed throughout the Indic world, created something new. New connections, new cultures, and a rich African diaspora. The transatlantic slave trade was the largest migration in human history. The Atlantic world, the connection of four continents that shape the rim of the Atlantic Ocean, came into being based on the labor and forced movement of enslaved Africans. Atlantic world slavery, also considered New World slavery, exploited human lives to build wealth and power for nation-states, colonies, institutions, and individuals. It also commercialized and racialized slavery. Between 1501 and 1866, at least 12,500,000 enslaved Africans were shipped to the Americas. Close to 400,000 of them were brought to North America. Europeans built an economy based on slavery and the New World plantation system. To make vast profits from the global demand for sugar, rice, tobacco, and coffee, they invested in slave labor to clear land, grow crops, and to provide a luxurious lifestyle, regardless of the moral issue of enslaving another human. Olada Equiano was kidnapped and enslaved at age 11 and taken to the Caribbean and the Americas. Equiano endured the horrific experience of New World enslavement. In his autobiography, he recalled, "In a little time after, amongst the poor chained men, I found some of my own nation, which in a small degree gave ease to mine." The church, governments, and companies invested in the business of slavery. The sale of enslaved Africans
600 Negroes. By purchasing so great a number, the slaves were so crowded that they were obliged to lie upon one another. This caused such mortality, nearly 1/2 of them died before the ship arrived on Earth. The officers are permitted to indulge their passions, sometimes of such brutal excesses as disgrace human nature.
The wealth generated by slavery was enormous formations.
The very first salute I had from them was a blow on the back part of the head with the flat of a gun, and at the same time a grasp around the neck. All of us were put into the castle and kept for market. I and the prisoners were put on board a ship under our master and rowed away to a vessel belonging to Rhode Island.
Condition slavery was not yet defined. In some instances, a few Africans in America had limited degrees of freedom. On large plantations, enslaved people made up the majority. This enabled them to maintain cultural practices and create new American cultures. In large port cities like Charleston, New Amsterdam, and Philadelphia, enslaved men, women, and children often worked in a variety of trades: ethnic, craftsmen, dock workers, and local vendors. In bustling cities, free and enslaved Africans had more opportunities to meet, build relationships, and share information. On small, rural farms, enslaved people often formed close relationships with American Indian and European indentured servants. They lived, and rebelled together. The dependency on slave labor spread across North America, from Dutch New Amsterdam to the colonies, as well as in French Louisiana and Spanish Florida. With the reliance on enslaved populations, new laws defined who was enslaved and who was free. By 1750, the system of slavery was racialized and become more uniform. The law placed slavery on African descent and made it hereditary and lifelong. This separated indentured Europeans and enslaved Africans, created whiteness, and Africans became black in colonial North America. The race-based system of slavery was cemented into law. It was fundamental to the growing colonial economy and would prove instrumental to the founding of the United States. When Africans arrived in colonial North America, they encountered different environments and varying systems of slavery. From rocky coastlines to dense swamp camps.
And enslaved men leaked misinformation to the British, risking his life so that America could clinch a victory at Yorktown and secure British surrender. American independence brought liberty for some, but not all. Africans who had fought for the British fled Canada, where they gained freedom, but faced racism. Frustrated, Thomas Peters, a Black Pioneers Regiment, petitioned for better conditions and even secured immigration from Nova Scotia to Sierra Leone for hundreds of Black loyalists. Africans who served as American patriots found freedom restricted and even revoked after the war. As the new nation continued to wrestle with slavery and freedom, African Americans inspired others throughout the Atlantic world to continue the fight for freedom. From their earliest forced arrival in colonial North America, enslaved Africans had rebelled. They watched with personal interest as mounting tension between British troops and local seamen exploded onto the streets of Boston in 1770. At the helm was Crispus Attucks, a 47-year-old sailor and fugitive slave. He became the first casualty in the Boston Massacre, and his act of defiance marked the beginning of March toward Revolution. By April 1775, Massachusetts militiamen clashed with British troops launching the Revolutionary War. The conflict touched everyone, white, black, enslaved, or free.
People were talking. Yeah. You know, face gets some. No. There's one more. No. Her and the. Oh, and there's not. So. Carolina and Allison go in.
In 1820, 40% of enslaved people sold at auction between the ages of 14 and 25. 28% were under the age of 13. Many were taken from loved ones, never to be seen again. Henry Bibb, born a slave in Kentucky, and his 6 siblings were sold to different buyers. Bibb attempted escape several times before he finally succeeded. By 1850, the Fugitive Slave Act required all Americans to return escaped slaves to slave owners. The national investment in slavery grew stronger as millions of lives continued to be torn apart by the domestic slave trade.
And mothers stood screaming and so endured from the Sea Ocean by Francis Ellen Watkins. Look.
Upgrade my young master on this horse. Look like two strings right here.
African Americans forced out
They stay home and they clean the house.
roughly 600,000 sold
One
by
of the
auction.
strings. Get your clothes.
Their labor created an empire. Cotton wool transformed the new nation into an economic.
And those strange men took and put me in the buggy and drive over me, hollering at the top of my voice, calling my mom. Mom couldn't hear me. She couldn't see me. They had me pushed down out of sight on the floor of the buggy.
John Womack was sure he took me to the courthouse. I sold for $1,000 in gold. He sent the rear, a marshal, bought for his boy labor.
Mama begs Major Long not to separate us folks and hug Mary and Jane and me to her. Me and poor Mary from her. And he and the man took her off. A trader them days didn't think no more of selling a baby or a little child away from its mother than taking a little calf from a cow.
They called the men bucks and the women women. When the slave is on the platform, what they call the block, the overseer yells, "Tom or Jason, show the bidders how you walk." Then the slave steps across the platform and the bidding follows.
I had a brother, Jim, who was sold to dress young missus for a wedding. I sat there and cried, especially when they put the chains on him, carried him off. I ain't never felt so lonesome in my whole life.
They examine you just like they do a horse. They look at your teeth and pull your eyelids back and look at your eyes and feel you, just like you was a horse.
I didn't see why I should be anybody's. But a rare chance I got. Sometimes they get killed. But mostly they just. They never did get their money's worth out of me. I worked as long as they stood over me. And I ran around with the gals, sneaked off to the woods. Sometimes they used to put their dogs on me to get me back.
My mother worked in the field. Sometimes she'd come in 9 or 10 o'clock at night. She'd be all wore out. And it'd be so dark, she'd too tired to cook lots of times. But she had to get some food so we could eat it. Us all around the table, like that was like a feast. Lots of times, though,
The museum will be closing in 30 minutes. The museum shop is now closed. The museum shop is now closed. The museum will be closing in 30 minutes. The museum shop is now closed. The museum shop is now closed.
transformed America during the Civil War. They turned the war over the Union into a fight for freedom, resulting in the emancipation of 4 million enslaved African Americans. Yet at the outset of war, few could have imagined this outcome. The South fought to expand slavery without government interference. The North fought to preserve the Union, leaving slavery and its profits intact. Abraham Lincoln, at his first inaugural address, emphasized, "I have no purpose, directly or indirectly, to interfere with the institution of slavery in the states where it exists." But African Americans were resolved to end slavery once and for all. Frederick Douglass wrote in 1861, "Let the slaves and free colored people be called into service, and formed into a liberating army, to march into the South and raise the banner of emancipation." In fact, African Americans had already begun to act. 3 enslaved men, Shepherd Raleigh, Frank Baker, and James Townsend, crossed Union lines and entered Fort Monroe. They declared themselves free. Tens of thousands of enslaved African Americans ran towards freedom and Union General
Oh, which one was Washington Post? What she say? So he was good until I told him that Oklahoma was good. And what happened to him? Washington. Ooh, nah, I used to be trying to go through, like, we used to be texting, but I never was like talking to him, like texting like you. I asked him what I'm like.
At the local level, African Americans continue to push for equal rights. They demanded civil rights and celebrated the passage of the 14th Amendment, which granted African Americans citizenship and equal protection law. And they pressed for the right to vote, which was secured in part by the 15th Amendment. With the vote, African Americans ushered in change and held elective office in every southern state. They instituted the South's first public school system, fair labor laws, and debt relief. With more than 1,500 African American men in elected office, Black voters recognized the impact of the political power they now held. They pressed to expand American freedoms in the House and in the Senate. Representative Robert B. Elliott, speaking to the House of Representatives, said, "It is a matter of regret to me that it is necessary this day that I should rise in the presence of an American parliament, advocating simply assert equal rights and public privilege for all classes of American citizens." Uncomfortable with Black privilege, the Supreme Court began to chip away.
So I gave up trying to be an airline pilot, went to graduate school,
Yeah, we were on the
Bless you.
I think that Islam God is fine, but I don't think it can ever go far.